Good morning, and welcome to your daily Farm and Home Show, brought to you by the University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension Service. And now, here's your host. Good morning, and welcome to your Farm and Home Show. My name is Joanna, and this morning we're visiting with David Embrey. He's the Edmonson County Extension Agent for Agriculture and Natural Resources. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Joanna.
Now, David, every year we think about improvements that we can make on our farm to utilize the resources that we have available.
Right.
And water is probably one of those resources that are most limiting at times.
Right. It's kind of been really limiting times this year for sure. So, yeah, water is something that's really important. Of course, there's a lot of different water sources we can look at, and water, is generally abundant in our area, except when you get into a drought situation, kind of like we had a really dry fall this year. But everybody thinks, first of all and foremost, of city or county water. Well, that's available, and fortunately, it's a good, reliable source. However, it can be expensive.
Yes.
Anybody, for instance, I have my private water source. I have a spring that goes into a cistern. I have to maintain that. So, that's something that you have to consider when you're talking about doing different water sources. But something that has become popular, and it's always been there, you've heard the term rain barrel. Well, a lot of people do these rain barrel things. Well, this that we're getting ready to talk about is kind of a rain barrel writ large for a farming operation, collecting rainwater off the roofs of some of your buildings so that you can have that extra water source just in case you need it.
Yeah, and the thing about it is it's already there. It's a resource that we can utilize, and we actually have some publications talking about how to implement some of these systems on our farm.
That's right. There's a good publication called Rainwater Harvesting for Livestock Production Systems. It's AEN 135. It does a lot of talking about the different ways that they call it a catchment area. Basically, it's just a roof of a building that you have put a guttering system on, excuse me, and then you've put some barrels or some large tanks to catch that rainwater, and then you've got a distribution system that will come off of those tanks, and it'll go to different places. Say you're going to water your cattle with it, and you can hook it up to a waterer, a 2-ball, 4-ball waterer, whatever you want to hook it up to, and then you can water your cattle that way. Or if, for instance, if you've got a large operation and say you want to catch some water and do some irrigation with it, you could do that as well.
So there's many options that you could utilize, and kind of the benefits are twofold. One is that we're capturing a resource that's not as expensive as city or county water, and we're maybe keeping some of that soil from not eroding from the areas when we have large rain events.
Exactly. One good reason to do this could possibly be, you have a barn or a building that you have, say your tool shed or your barn, whatever. And that rain generally will just run right off of that metal roof and hit the ground, and it's got to go somewhere, and so it's going to erode the ground. So that's one option that they can keep. Now, on the flip side of that, you have to think, if it's not raining, we've still got to make sure we've got another water source to take care of that, because, if we go 2 or 3 months without rain, then you're going to deplete that system here pretty quick. So it's not a end-all, be-all, catch-all thing, but it is a really good way to help supplement our water source.
Absolutely. Now, there are some concerns probably that go along with that, and I know one that's been brought to our attention is algae growth.
Right. Algae growth will happen in any stale, stagnant water that's just standing there and not movement. Water movement is, movement is very important for things to not grow in it as well. And of course, there are a lot of things that grow in water. Algae is just one of them. There are plants that will grow in water and everything else. So when you're choosing a tank system or a barrel, if you will, you want to choose something that's opaque or not, not white, not where the sun can get through it, because the sun is what causes the growth in water. So you want to make sure that when you choose a tank, it's not something that the sunlight's going to get into and be able to cause that growth to happen real fast. And so if your water's sitting there for a while, and you do get growth even with the darker tanks, you can treat it with an algaecide. Always follow the directions when you're going to choose something like that. You always want to make sure that you're treating it properly, especially if you're watering animals with it.
Now, you mentioned it's kind of like a bigger rain barrel, and those rain barrels are usually hooked up to a gutter system. But David, what if they say, I don't have gutters on my barn?
Right. You can put gutters on your barn. I put a gutter on one side of my barn just because my corral was over there, and it made a world of difference. My corral doesn't, erode out nearly as bad as it does now. That water does have to go somewhere. I don't have a rain barrel set up or any kind of a catchment system, but just putting a gutter on a barn is not really that big a deal. It's not all that expensive. It's pretty easy to do.
All right. Well, David, certainly appreciate you bringing the information to us. And if you would like to have that publication, just contact your local extension office and ask for the Rainwater Harvesting for Livestock Systems. Thanks for watching and have a great day. If you have questions about today's topic, please call the Warren County Extension Office at the number on your screen. Thanks for watching and have a great day.